The alarm resonated throughout the metallic corridors of the medical bay. Medic 1, one of the few humans stationed at this remote outpost, was already on his feet as the alert appeared on his console. Emergency life support malfunction detected. Evacuate immediately. He swiftly donned his equipment and dashed toward the docking bay, skimming past a corner just as the airlock doors hissed open. Inside the bay, the sleek alien craft hovered, its flickering lights signaling critical system failures. Usually he approached unknown ships with caution, especially those without any recognizable insignia. Yet the faint distress signal conveyed a palpable urgency. Moving swiftly, he secured his helmet and stepped through the airlock into the ship's cold, misty atmosphere. The silence inside was absolute, broken only by the hiss of his own breath. His flashlight beam cut through dim hallways and flickering control panels, all indicating severe power outages. Only when he reached the ship's core did he find her, the alien girl, curled up and barely conscious. Her skin shimmered in iridescent blue-green hues, faint light patterns pulsing softly across her forehead and arms. She appeared no older than a teenager by her species standards. Small and delicate even by human measures, without hesitation, he knelt beside her to assess her condition. Her breathing was faint, and her skin felt icy cold beneath his gloves. "Stay with me," he whispered, knowing she probably couldn't understand, but hoping his tone would bring some comfort. He administered a stabilizer from his med kit, watching as her breathing gradually steadied. When her eyes fluttered open, they were wide, confused. A kaleidoscope of colors swirling like clouds in a night sky. She attempted to speak, uttering a whisper in a language unfamiliar to him, but her strength waned quickly. With practiced care, he lifted her into his arms and hurried back to the medical bay aboard his ship. For hours, he worked tirelessly to stabilize her, tending to her injuries and monitoring wildly fluctuating vital signs from her alien physiology. A blend of advanced technology and sheer luck kept her alive through the night. He stayed by her side as her body's bioluminescence dimmed and brightened like a heartbeat. When she finally opened her eyes again, there was a new clarity, something ancient and profound in such a youthful face. "Why?" she asked, voice barely audible. The translator on his wrist struggled but rendered her words intelligible enough. "You were in danger," he replied simply. "I was there. I helped you." The girl regarded him with an expression he could only describe as awe. Slowly, she sat up, her wounds healing with remarkable speed, her gaze never leaving his face. He sensed a change in the atmosphere, as if the very air held its breath. Days passed. He expected her to recover and depart, but she lingered, silently following him around the medical bay, intrigued by his work and tools. Her eyes tracked his every move, her expression shifting from curiosity to thoughtfulness to something indefinable. On the 5th day, during his rounds, she approached and gently placed her hand over his. Her skin was cool and smooth. "I have something for you," she said softly but confidently. Before he could ask what she meant, she raised her other hand, fingertips glowing with a faint silvery light. The air around them seemed to ripple, and warmth spread through him. A sensation so intense it rendered him speechless. The light brightened, illuminating the small room in cascades of radiance. He felt it envelop him, a comforting heat seeping into his skin and bones, as if she was imbuing him with a part of herself. Overwhelming, yet soothing, a feeling beyond description. His vision blurred, and flashes of images flooded his mind. Her family, her world, memories of her youth, her fear as the ship drifted helplessly, her loneliness, despair, and finally, her gratitude. When the glow faded, she withdrew her hand and stepped back, her face softened by a warm smile. What was that?" he managed, still breathless. "A gift," she replied. "A part of me, so you'll never be alone." He didn't fully grasp it, but he felt different, warmer, more attuned, as though the quiet spaces within him now echoed her presence. The first sign appeared during a routine medical scan. Out of curiosity, he examined his own readings and noticed subtle changes he couldn't explain. His neural patterns had shifted, tiny new pathways branching through his thoughts. His senses sharpened, colors seemed richer, sounds clearer. Even his sleep changed, filled with vivid dreams of places he'd never seen, strange landscapes bathed in unfamiliar light. At first he dismissed it as stress or fatigue, but the changes soon proved undeniable. While treating patients, he began to sense their pain before they spoke. A faint discomfort felt when entering a room that grew more precise over time, like a whisper guiding him to an injury or where attention was most needed. With these insights, his treatments became remarkably more effective. Recovery times shortened. Other medics aboard the ship marveled at his newfound precision. The alien girl, by now more than a silent presence in his life, watched all this with a knowing gleam in her eyes. One quiet afternoon in the med bay, he asked her, "Is this part of your gift? This connection I feel with others?" She nodded serenely. "It is part of the bond shared among us. In my culture, we call it ithraen, the shared pulse, a kind of empathy that unites us." He absorbed her words, marveling at the depth of her people's traditions. Their bond deepened beyond his expectations. Even when she wasn't near, he felt her presence. A gentle brush at the edge of his mind, a comforting warmth he had come to rely on. Weeks later, they were deployed to a war-torn planet to care for those caught in the conflict. Working side by side in a makeshift field hospital, he noticed something extraordinary. Their connection allowed him to channel strength to others. His touch eased the panic and pain of wounded soldiers, even before physical treatment began. It was as if he was transmitting her gift of peace through his hands and voice. She watched with quiet pride, as though this had always been her intention. On their final night there, they sat atop a ridge overlooking a charred valley. The sky was dark, stars faint through the haze of distant fires. He turned to her, eager to ask about the vivid dreams, visions of her people's history, music, rituals, so vivid he felt he had lived them. But before he could speak, she said, "You carry us with you now." Her voice held a reverence that struck him deeply. "You will always carry a piece of my people." He felt a sharp pang, an ache of understanding he hadn't expected. "Does that mean you're leaving?" Her eyes reflected the distant stars. "I must," she replied softly. "I was a wanderer lost and alone until you found me. Now I am bound to return, to honor the second chance you've given me." A hollow ache settled in his chest, one her gift couldn't heal. Yet he nodded in acceptance. In the days that followed, they prepared for her departure. On the final day, as he escorted her to the departure bay, she placed her hand over his heart and closed her eyes. Her fingers glowed faintly with that familiar silvery light. He felt a wave of warmth and peace, something vast and profound he could not name. "Goodbye," she whispered. A song, a memory that would echo within him for the rest of his life. As she vanished into the starry void, her presence lingered. A quiet reminder, a gift he would carry forever, an unexpected bond woven into the very fabric of his being. Over the years, he continued to sense her in his dreams, in the quiet moments, a gentle presence urging him forward, reminding him he was never truly alone. Though the universe was immense, in his heart, he carried a part of it that was no longer solely human.